Welcome back to Psych 101. I am joined here today for a special episode on relationships. I have with me Navy and Daddy Ratchet.
Hey.
We're gonna get right into it. I wanted to have this episode for a while. It's kind of been building up throughout the season with different things that we've talked about. We've talked about religion recently, submission with women. We've talked about divine feminine and different things. So it's led kind of naturally into this episode, which is just relationships. So first off, I want to know you guys' thoughts and opinions on just the state of relationships in 2024.
Ah, well, I guess I start. Um, First off, I want to start off by saying I'm a single person. I've been a single person for the last couple of years, and it's been all about self-discovery. And to answer your question, I think the state of relationships now are in a space where we are just now figuring out that we can't be in a space of conflict all the time. So it's that weird space where we're trying to get out of conflict and more into how do we figure out how to love each other, again, and I think it's strange because you have everybody on this defense, and that's a love repellent, in a way, and I think through the process just being single and just figuring out ourselves, figuring out what it is that we like and what we don't, so that we can make cognitive decisions on who we choose. I think that's where we're headed, And I think as long as we stay in that direction, eventually I think it'll be a lot more, seamless to connect with each other, because that disconnect is definitely missing. But I think once that conflict goes away and that discomfort goes away of just dropping the defenses and just being okay in your vulnerability, that'll help that interconnectedness, ultimately. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. Well, you brought up a bunch of things that just like triggering a lot of different thoughts on me. The disconnect and conflict. I want to talk about that because there's definitely a very apparent divide. It's like men versus women. Yeah. And in the real world, as we're watching like celebrities go through things, maybe like with their partners and stuff, and it could be really bad things that they're going through, but it's like, oh, a point for the girls, a point for the guys, and it's like it's really just this horrible thing. But what do you guys think is the cause of this division between men and women? And it seems to keep getting kind of worse.
Lack of communication. I just think ain't nobody talking. Like she was saying, I feel like everybody just damaged. And that builds up that wall. And next thing you know, women only want one thing, men only want one thing. So it's just a lack of communication. And they only, and the deeper root of what they really want ain't really being communicated. It's just the surface. As far as like, she just might want some money for her nails or a bag or whatever. He might just want this and that, but they really want more than that. You know what I'm saying? But they're not communicating that because they so damaged of what happened to them in the past. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's what it really is.
That's another good point too. Maybe sometimes people don't know. Well, one, don't know what they really want, so how can they communicate it?
Yeah.
But then people aren't really like searching deeper than the surface level, I think. Yeah. Are you single as well?
I am.
Okay. So, and are you both in your 30s?
Yeah.
Okay, same, me too. So, and I get asked a lot, like, why are you still single? Like, what do you mean?
Our first thought is it's not that many options, or the options aren't available. And I think also going back to kind of manifesting that type of relationship that you want and doing that inner work, a part of that is, just being able to pull that type of relationship in, that type of relationship you want. You need that kind of vulnerability. You need to be able to say, okay, this is who I am. This is what I like about myself, and then that way you can better determine, who's that fit for you. But that takes a while to do when your first reaction is to say, there are no options. But I think if we pull back and stop saying that, stop thinking that that's true, because even though it's hard not to think that because of everything we see on socials, because of everything we see in the celebrity world, so it's hard to say, the person for me is out there. You lose that faith really, really quickly, just thinking about, what the world has to offer. But once you really kind of do that inner work and you can discern, okay, my person may be out there, but I've learned from my relationships, from my past lessons. I've gained this wisdom enough to say, okay, my person's out there, but these just aren't my people. Like this might not be the community where this person may be. So it's just about going through your own journey to kind of find that and not thinking that that person isn't out there, kind of leaving yourself open to kind of bring that person.
So what you do in the meantime, in between time? So you settle. Most people just kind of settle and until or they just stop looking and just settle with what they got and just make the best of what they can, or they don't stay nowhere. They just kind of just keep migrating.
See, and kind of what you were talking about, this idea that there's not enough options. I feel the opposite. I feel that there is this false notion that there are unlimited options. Yeah. I feel that people think that people are like indisposable and you can just like swipe, and it's not a real person, and just it's just like if let's say we're talking and we develop something cool, but it don't work out. 10 more of me that you can go find. I feel like that's the idea, right? But it's really like if you're getting to know someone on an individual level, it's not a replaceable thing.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, people do jump around a lot because maybe they don't feel like doing the work, or it's a little too difficult, or they haven't met themselves at a stage where they're ready to meet someone else with that level of vulnerability too.
Sometimes it's a person that knows themselves and it's a person that don't know themselves, so it's not gonna work.
It's not a match, right?
And they're not used to being with a person that knows themselves fully. You know what I'm saying? Because I was in a situation similar to that. Like I didn't know myself that well. And then I was trying to get with somebody who knew themselves, and she called me out, and it kind of made me look at myself better. So
in the moment though, when she called you out, how did you respond to that?
I couldn't, because it was a lot of truth in what she said. So, and I'm not really big on arguing these days. Like I'm grown now, so it's just kind of like I just kind of had to take it and think about it.
Yeah.
And then, not to mention, she kind of walked away. So when I could really say anything else, she kind of said it, drops mic. Yeah. It was just like that.
Left you to sit with it.
And I did. And it took me maybe the first couple of days, I it ain't sit well with me. But after I really thought about it and kind of like went about my days and just kind of seeing my mannerisms, like maybe there's some truth to what she said. So
I respect it. Yeah, definitely.
For listening and taking it in.
I mean, but that takes time. Sometimes people don't have that tolerance to even listen to criticism.
Absolutely, yeah.
They look at it as a hate
or an attack.
Yeah. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm just coming from I might not know you. I'm just speaking from a third person, from a vantage point. I just see something. I'm just speaking on it. You don't have to really like it. I'm just speaking on it.
That's true.
Yeah, you said something earlier about I think being healed, or maybe like dating people that aren't healed, and that's like another big conversation thing as well. Is should people date if they're not healed? Is it okay to find somebody else and you guys heal together, or should you be more in a space of healing within yourself before you seek out someone else?
First off, healing does not end. I don't believe in healing stops. Like we're always going to be going through something as humans, as young adults. Like we said, we're all in our 30s. We're still super young. We got a ways to go, God willing. But we're going to learn things. We're going to become different people. We're going to change. Every 5 seconds, basically, on that kind of span. So you're always going to be healing. You're always going to be growing. So I think, but everybody's not on that journey though. So I do think you have to date a person on that part of the journey, with you, or at least acknowledging and having the self-awareness to where they know they're in that space of healing, because a lot of folks, they're not, might not even be in that space, might not even be ready to be in that space. And that could conflict with where you're going, So to answer your question, absolutely. I think you need to be in that state of healing, or in that state of knowing that, okay, this is the type of person that, I want to be, this is not what I want to deal with. And so to answer your question, yeah, you should. You definitely should.
I feel like you should surround yourself with people that you want to align yourself with, so you can be in the spirit of dating. Because sometimes when you by yourself, that don't really help. I feel like sometimes self-help, sometimes you need to be around people who want the similar things that you want. Not necessarily the same thing, but similar things, similar aspiration goals, things like that. And same with females. Like even if you just friends with them, just build some sort of bond, some sort of relationship just before you try to date someone. I feel like just trying to just be friends with people and just try to build relationships with people is gonna help you get in a better space. Because when you by yourself all the time, you alienated. So when you get around people, you just get awkward. I feel like and they distance themselves so much, they get awkward. They don't want to be around people. And that's when you stay damaged, and you don't know how to heal. But I feel like if you're around people who are healing themselves or trying to heal, that helps you.
Absolutely, absolutely. This is going to lead into a little bit of another topic, but I think, like you guys said, it really depends, like where you are in your healing journey, and I guess what it is that you're healing from, because it's very difficult to be in a relationship with somebody who is struggling with like significant mental illness, for example, like depression, and a lot of times people might expect you as the partner to pull them out of that, and it becomes a lot of responsibility, and it becomes a lot of times dependency or codependency. So I think codependency is something that really just like plagues our people, you know. So I always want to talk about that. But what are y'all's thoughts on relationships and codependency?
I was once a codependent person in relationships, and I think it was because I don't even want to say afraid, but I didn't want to put all of that energy into me, you know, and what I had going on. It was easier for me to focus on someone else's issues or allow my issues to become their issues. You know, it just felt easier. It felt like, you know, you have a person to lean on, you know, but when you're leaning too much, you lose your own balance.
I like that.
Know? And I was losing my own balance, you know, and focused in it. You know, that was what I wanted to be in, you know. And you get like that a lot of times when you really don't know how to deal with, you know, yourself in that space, you know, don't know how to really deal with the loneliness of depression, you know, of, you know, figuring out what your next move is, you know, sitting by yourself is hard, you know, sometimes, and that's where how people get, you know, codependent, you know, sometimes it's a distraction, you know, but it takes that strength and the force of, you know, being in a space where that person is no longer there, you know, like you have to deal with yourself and you got to grow out of being codependent, you know, and that takes a lot of work because like you said, people are in that space of, you know, dealing with mental illness, you know, like, and that you don't want to be alone in that process, but you have to be in that mindset so you won't spill on everybody else. You know, you have to remember that your happiness, your everything that you want for yourself is your responsibility, you know, and you have to treat it as such, you know, and also, you know, that you also have to know who you're leaning on and be cognitive of what they're going through because you can't, you know, just pile all your stuff, you know, on a person, you know. But I think the more you learn about that, the more you become considerate of, you know, your partner or your person, and you'll open yourself up to say, hey, you know, can I talk to you about this? You know, is this too much for you right now? You know, I don't want to dump, you know, any of my stuff on you. You become more considerate and less codependent. But it's a really unhealthy thing, but it takes, you know, that real effort to understand, you know, that whatever I'm going through, I gotta fix it, you know. That's what I had to learn.
Yeah, focusing on self a lot.
Shit, I was the person getting leaned on, so I had to be the rock, and that was even from when I was little. Just, you know, I had no father figure in my house. It was me, my sister, my mama, my grandma, my aunt. So it was all women and just me. And even when my grandpa, my grandma did remarry, when he passed away, I still had to be that rock. When my grandma passed, I had to be that rock. When my sister passed, I had to be that rock. When I got in a relationship with my baby mama, she was always leaning on me to do everything. So cooking, cleaning, the kids, whatever they needed, that was all on me. So I didn't really have time for myself. So when I kind of got by myself, once me and her broke up and I had, you know, nothing but myself and my kids, and when they, you know, doing their own thing, they in school or whatever the case, I'm just sitting with my thoughts is I had to find myself. You know, and I didn't realize that I was somewhat damaged because I just had to be the person that everyone needed. I couldn't need nobody. You know what I'm saying? Even now, I'm still trying to break myself out of certain habits, like asking for help or just even talking about small things, just like my day, I just kind of keep things bottled in because I just always been a person just be the strong one. So, I'm still working on it. It's still a work in progress, but it's hard.
No, I can imagine the type of toll that would take on you to have to be that for everyone, but then not have someone to go to for that.
Because even when my OG passed, my grandma passed, childhood friend passed, like 6 people passed in the span of like 3 years.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't cry until that last person passed. And it just really I couldn't find, well, my grandma passed, I cried. But after hers, like, I couldn't cry no more. Because everybody else was, Rick, we need you. So it was like, I had to be, can you come help me? Can you do this? So I had to just bottle it up all the time. And then when that last person passed away, I remember just, Ken. When Ken passed, I remember when Steph called me, I just broke down. Like in my kitchen just broke. My baby mama tried to hold me up. I just let it all out. I feel like that's my first time letting everything out. I cried for like 3-4 hours.
Oh, wow.
And that was the last time I had a real good cry. But
I think that's really common, especially with men to have to bottle things up. So I want to know, like, understand that process of something is hurting you, something is affecting you, but I have to tuck it away.
Yeah.
Like how do you mentally do that, or how do you train yourself to do that? Because it's not as easy. Yeah.
In all honesty, because who can you run to when you need something? When everyone look to you to be the strong one, you don't have nobody you can really go to, or they make you feel uncomfortable going to them. Because a lot of the times, even my mama, I love my mama, but just going to her sometimes it's hard for me to. Mom, can you give me $10 for gas? Like, why you don't got no money? Why you? It's like, don't worry about it. And she'll still give it to me, but it's just like, I don't want to ask you. And it goes with, I guess, with any female. My sister was probably the only given one who could see I was going through it. Here go Rick. Here go 20. Here go just cause she could see I wasn't gonna ask nobody. But I think since then I haven't really had nobody I felt comfortable with. Males too. I'm saying, well, I felt comfortable with, I feel like males don't feel comfortable asking males because we under the impression we supposed to just have it all together. You know what I'm saying? And we seem weak if we go for any type of help, especially to a woman. That's just how I look at it. You know what I'm saying? That's probably not how it really is, but that's just how it's been for a long period of my life. And it's hard. It's a toll. You know what I'm saying? Even when everybody passed, it was a toll. I ain't know what to do. Like when Ken passed, I was really lost. I had nobody I could really, because he was the last person I could talk to. So it was like, I just put all that energy into my kids and just I think that's what helped me heal. Was like I got to still push forward for my kids because they can't see me like this on a regular. Because it was on a regular basis, I was kind of weak. I'm kind of just lost in transition. Me and my baby mama going through what we was going through. So I was just lost in transition. And my mama wasn't really helping. No, I ain't really had nobody that could really relate on top of that. So, but we better now. You know what I'm saying? Everything good now.
That's that healing work.
It's time.
Well, thank you for sharing. I appreciate the insight and the honesty. I want to talk a little bit about dating in the creative world, because I know that we all are like creatives, artists, and I think that I don't know, sometimes it can maybe be a little bit more difficult. Well, I guess it depends on who you are dating.
Yeah.
But what are some of you guys' experiences with that?
Well, I think us creatives are so misunderstood. I think we're so misunderstood, and I think sometimes it might be hard for us to like find our person, because creative is so big. We all have our different levels of creativity, certain things that we do. We all do music, but they're your straight artists, they're your ceramics, they're your potters, so we're all different types of artists. And so we have our different nuances. So I think sometimes dating as an artist can be complicated but also refreshing. Because you can find somebody who relates to you on that free bird level, but then it's also we need our recharge space, so that we can continue to be creative. So it's about finding that person, I guess, that kind of balances you well, but pattern wise, it hasn't been easy, it hasn't been easy to, I guess, stay, in that space. I got to a point in my life one time where I didn't want to date musicians anymore. I was like, I don't want to date no artists. I'm done dating rappers. I'm sick of it. it's over. Like, we're not doing this anymore. And then I'm like, I was looking at myself, I'm like, I'm a musician. What am I talking about? Like, what
I'm a rapper.
what do I mean? You know, but you know, it's so weird. But you know, you have that thing, you know, you probably heard from your grandmamas and stuff, you know, don't date musicians. You know, they all hoes and all this other stuff. You know, they can't, you know, keep it together, they can't stay faithful, you know, but because you love what you love, and you know, when you're in, you know, you want somebody who really understands you as a creative. And like I said, sometimes that can be hard. So when you find that person, you know, who really at least gets you in that level, it's serendipity, you know. But you know, you can still date musicians though. I'm back to dating rappers.
You're open again to this.
What about you? Do you date creative women?
I ain't gonna hold you. I did one time. It was a lot. She got me though, as far as scheduling, as far as just my time. It was easier because if I say I'm in the studio for 6 hours, it wasn't are you in the studio for 6 hours, right? And you know who I'm, because you've been there with me. You know who I'm with. You know about my business. I'm paying to be in here. I don't got time to be. But I feel like when I was dating, just like maybe somebody who knew I did music but wasn't really serious, who didn't know I took it seriously. It's like, you got hoes in there, you doing this, you doing. I'm like, nah, bro, I'm in here. You wasting my time texting me. Like, I'm ready to put you on Do Not Disturb. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to, when I come back to the house, I'm gonna show you the work. You know what I mean? So, but even so, the same way with me being a creative, I gotta take in consideration you're a creative too, and you have schedule. So our schedulings might conflict. You might do something I don't really. I don't like that photo shoot you about to do. Like, I don't like. Why can't I come to the photo shoot? Like, just small things that I'm speaking on my experience.
Right.
Just small things. It felt iffy. But I know you about your business. But like, I still want to be able to support you in that light. And you kind of alienated me from it because you want to be strict. I guess have your professional folk around you. It's like, bro, I'm gonna be a fly on the wall. I ain't trying to step on your toes. And I was like, I bring you to my sessions. I bring you to my whatever I got going on. So I'm trying to involve you. I want you to be, but you know, now I don't know.
On the flip side,
Say if you're dating somebody who's not, you know, a creative, or at least wants to be. I dated this guy who had a dope flow. He liked going to the studio with me, you know, but it became competitive almost, you know, because he wanted to out rap me. Or I mean, I loved it, but it's like it showed a lot of insecurity, you know, in a way, because I guess to him, I made it look easy, or, you know, it was at the point I was on fire that summer, like just like bars on bars, just writing. I didn't have a baby yet. Pre-baby bars. Yes, pre-baby bars, post-COVID bars. And, you know, I'm on fire. And at that point, I was just writing, and I just get to the booth, and I'm just going to spit. And I guess it was happening so fast, you know, he felt like he wasn't as good, and he was, you know, he was great. I loved rapping with him. You know, I still listen to some of our songs to this day, you know, but he felt inferior, you know, in it. And that's kind of what made it weird, you know, with us, you know, to where, like Rick said, you know, dating somebody who's a creative is a lot more understanding, you know, because they'll know what you're doing, what you're going through. That insecurity isn't there. But sometimes, you know, and at least in my situation, you know, it was weird. You know, it became a little weird because at one point he kind of resented me a little. At least it felt like it was like, you know, I just want to work on this bar. Can you listen to it? Or it would get to a point where he would record something and didn't want me to listen to it, you know, and all that stuff. And I was just like, you know, this isn't healthy. You know, like this isn't gonna work. But I love dating creatives in the sense that, you know, you have that understanding, you know, but, you know, we had a little friction when I wasn't, you know, dating a full out creative.
Okay. Something you've said a couple times, your person. Do you all think that there's just one person for you?
Go ahead, say it once. Don't be quiet. Don't look at, no, look. I do feel like, yo, I feel like it's I do feel like it's one person, but I feel like I'm not gonna say seasonal, yo. But I feel like sometimes people outgrow people, and they don't know how to accept the shit and let it go. You know what I'm saying? Or if you're not willing to try anything, that's why I'm like, if you're not willing to try nothing, or I'm not gonna say try nothing like sexual, but just try nothing, be open to different experiences with your person or something like that. You just want to stay stagnant or stay the same person, and another person willing to grow, like you said, healing and all that. If somebody is consistently healing, you kind of like, I'm cool where I'm at. I still love you, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to think. I'm not trying to be politically correct. I'm just saying. I just feel like I don't believe in the polygamy thing. I don't think like having 2 or 3, 4, 5 females is a thing. But I feel like some people are just seasonal. If you're not willing to continue to put in the work, that's why back in the day when our grandparents was married for 30, 40 years, they was putting in the work. They was continuously working at it. It won't just I'm here with you. This is what we are. We're gonna stay like this. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna.
It was a little bit though. Probably it was a little bit of, well, I'm just gonna stay. I got nowhere else to go.
I mean, maybe so, but we didn't know.
Because the women weren't working like that. The women weren't. They had to depend on the men. Where would they go? Especially if they got a shit ton of kids.
Yes.
Where I'm gonna go? How I'm gonna leave you?
I know, my grandma used to work.
Really?
My grandma was working. Well, I say. But even so, even with that being the situation, they were still working at it. Like, because the woman could have a choice to walk away. You know what I'm saying? She could, even if she walked away from nothing, she still had the choice to walk away and have herself.
In theory, I get it. It sounds nice.
Yeah,
yeah. If you're a mother of like 10, for instance, like, and you got a husband who's the provider, and maybe he beats you once in a while, and maybe he got a couple other women, I'm gonna tolerate it because I got nowhere else to go, and I need a roof over me and my 10 children's heads. And I've seen it time and time again.
Yeah.
I've seen it in my own family, my own grandparents.
Yeah.
So it's just like I think that's another thing of today's time is women are so much more independent. So it's very hard to get stuck in these situations.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we're seeing a lot more single people, a lot more divorce rates, a lot more. You mentioned like polygamy and polyamory. I was having a conversation recently with somebody, and I said, in theory, I get it, but I've never seen a polyamorous relationship work.
Yeah.
And they said, I've never seen a monogamous relationship work. Right? We all struggling out here.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I do still wonder though if the notion of one person and the notion of forever is something just, forgotten now.
I think, well, to answer your original question, the first question, I believe that people are in your lives for whatever they're in your lives for, right? And so sometimes you can't, everybody's not going to fill you, everybody's not going to fill your cup, and that might not even be your husband or your significant other. Your husband might fill you up, or your person might fill you up 60%, but then you have your best friends, and then you have your kids, and you have your family members, and all of these give you that extra that you need to fill you up to get to your 100%. And so it's hard. I don't want to say you can't, because people have their forever people. People have found their forever person, and I do think that is possible. But I think that's the reason why you have so many relationships in your lifetime. Not necessarily your soulmate, because even your soulmate might not even be your husband. Your soulmate could be, your best friend, like in this life. So it's just all about really knowing how instrumental people are to you, and I think the person that is the most instrumental, the person that you value the most, is going to end up being that forever person, that person that you really work with and you connect with and you can grow with over time forever. When you're growing at the same time and you guys are streamlined and have a common goal, you can go there. That's your forever person. But then you have my other people in your life. Like, I'm going to bring up my mom, for example. My mom, divorced lady, single in her 50s, but she has a lot of male friends. friends, and like she tells me all the time, she's like, everybody makes me feel differently. She's like, this person, is good for, conversation, yeah, and this person is good for traveling or going out to eat, stuff like. So it's like she knows, how,
to fulfill herself.
Yeah, and she's very much open about that. She's like, no, I'm single until one of them tell me I'm not. But this is what everybody's good for, and she's cool with it. Like, and she tells people when she does meet a new person, she's like, look, these are my friends. If you don't like these guys, I don't know what to tell you. But they was here first. Like, and so it got me to really understand. She's right. As a growing person, as a growing adult, we're all trying to figure this out. And so, as we change, different people come into our lives as we grow. And so everybody just has a different weight, in their life. But I think you can find your forever person, but you just got to know that forever person still might not be everything that you need,
Right. That's a lot of pressure on someone to make them everything that you need.
Yeah.
Man. Ain't no forever. Only forever person you got is your baby mama or baby parent. Yeah, bro. Like, ain't no forever person. I don't believe in that shit no more. After I done been married. I was married to somebody I met when I was 16. I was 16 when I met her. I was 15 or going on 16. We was married for what? 7 years. I known her half my life. You know what I'm saying? So I got it. I'm stuck with her. At this point, it's not, I know how to utilize, I don't say utilize her. She's my baby mama, but it's like outside of that, I'm stuck with her till we die. That's my forever person. That's how I look at it. Like, as far as a partner, I don't want to get married no more. I'm not gonna hold you. I feel like marriage is just a piece of paper and a ring. If we really locked in, we locked in. You know what I'm saying? If I feel like I really love you, I don't need no ring to prove that. I don't need no marriage certificate to prove that because I had that already. And that didn't change nothing. All it did, if anything, made it worse. You feel? That's how I looked at it. We was fine before we got that ring. As soon as we got that ring, shit just went. All these expectations and all this other shit with the pressures of marriage came onto that shit, and it kind of faltered. And then I guess what we grew up thinking marriage was wasn't what it really was. I know I grew up in a one-parent household. She had two parents in her household. So it was different for me than it was for her. So I'm expecting something I never had. She was used to what was already going on. So she was, you know what I'm saying? So I'm willing to do this, that, and the third. She won't. That's why we ain't work. But where we at is where we at. We got 3 kids together. I love them. But outside, with me and her, we just it's a head nod. All right, kids, see y'all later. Or come on, kids, let's go. That's pretty much all it is. But as far as a partner, I do think is, to answer your question, I do think there is a person that you can have. Like you said, it's different people that you use for different things. But as far as one person that you want to be with, it's hard to really call that, yo. I haven't seen it, so I can't speak from experience. I haven't seen it. I don't know nobody close to me that's seen it.
Wait, just seen what? Somebody
they've been with as far as a forever person outside of the person they got kids with. I don't know nobody I know people who've been married who got divorced. Yeah, that's older, my age, whatever. And it's like people been together since they was little. Since we was in elementary school, and they've been together for so long. You would think they would never break up. Next thing you know, they're gone. It's like that, and they don't have kids, so it's just like they just parted ways. So it's like I can't really see. I can't see that. I don't know.
And I think we talked about it a little bit earlier, but I think it was you that said it, that you have to be okay with things ending because people change. So inevitably, you can, as you're growing, you're not the same person. You could grow very much apart, or you could change, and your interests could change, and the way that you need to be fulfilled could change, right? So I think that is a big issue. People trying to hold on to relationships past their expiration date.
Yeah.
And then you're saying attachment is the root of all suffering. So people not being able to let go of people or walk away from situations, it brings a lot of suffering and heartache ultimately. And then also with the person thing, I like your mom's philosophy. I just think it makes sense, as you said, to not have to depend on one person for everything or put that weight on somebody for everything. And it's just a more casual thing, and it allows you to just really be yourself and really focus on your own identity. I heard someone say recently that the easiest way to hide from yourself is in a relationship.
Yes, I felt that. I
Mm-hmm.
felt that in my spirit because a lot of people do that. There's so many people, men and women,
Mm-hmm.
who jump from relationship to relationship specifically to avoid being by
Mm-hmm.
themselves and really doing their work.
Because they probably don't like themselves.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to, it's a lot. Yeah. Or maybe they need a house. Or maybe
It's a lot of silliness going on,
but really,
yeah.
it's really to avoid, really doing any work. Because even if you need a house, if you got yourself together, you can get yourself.
You can get yourself right. You got
I don't know, man.
yourself.
That market crazy out here nowadays, bro.
No, I saw a meme that was like polyamory because we need a 3 income household. But yes, but
That's funny.
okay, and then you are divorced. I'm divorced as well. So that's another thing. I remember I got divorced around at 30, I think. And I remember thinking like, oh my God, this is the end of the world. Like everybody's gonna like think something's wrong with me. They're gonna judge me. I'm gonna be looked at as a failure. But on the other side of that relationship ending and that marriage ending, it's been such an amazing life and such a beautiful life. It feels like a lifetime ago. Like my ex-husband, I don't talk to him. I mean, he had kids. We don't have communication. It's kind of a sad thing to have so much of a life with somebody and then not at all. Yeah. But that's how things are sometimes. Things end and they serve a purpose. And when I was 26 years old, it was a cool thing. But now at my age, we're not compatible. And we both have to understand that and recognize that and let each other go. So
I hear you. That goes back to what Rick was saying about your child's other parent being your forever person. I don't think that's true. I don't think the people that, well, I'm going to speak for me, I guess, but I don't necessarily think the person that we have a baby by might not be our forever person. Now, yes, we're tied to them because we have children, but that person isn't that person that's going to stick around, and like be who they're supposed to be in your life. They might do what they're supposed to do for the kids.
I ain't mean for you. I'm just saying as far as the attachment. I ain't mean like I would never.
But I could definitely say like my son's dad is not, my forever person, and I can mean that, and really sit in that now and be thankful, in that situation, but yes, we have our son, hopefully one day we'll, build a better co-parenting relationship, but until then, we skating and we're good.
But even if y'all ever do get in that space of building a co-parent relationship, you still got to deal with them.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. Like forever, like until one of y'all gone, birthdays, holidays, even if y'all don't see each other, if the kids ask you to come together, hey mom, dad, I want both of y'all for this. I'm getting married. I'm graduating college, whatever. You gotta, you know what I'm saying? That's what I mean. As I'm gonna have to deal with her. Yeah. No matter how much I don't want to talk to her, no matter how much she don't want to talk to me, we still gotta deal with each other forever, yo. Never again, though.
So I guess I want to kind of bring the conversation to a close because I could go on and on forever about this. But what is something that you think is important for a healthy relationship and something that I guess you feel advice for a relationship?
Consideration. Consideration. Because I think that's the true action of what love is. I think people forget that love is a thing that you do, and it's a thing that you do constantly. And it starts with really considering your person, knowing who they are, knowing what they need, knowing, when they want their space, really being considerate of everything that they may have to offer, or that they may want, and being in that space to give it to them, and to love them enough to want to do that constantly, So I think the best advice I could give and will do for myself, of course, when that comes back around for me, but to fully be considerate, of the person that you love. That's my tidbit.
Transparency and communication. I feel like that's what I lacked a lot of in a lot of my relationships, even with the marriage. I just feel like it was just once I shut down, I shut down. So, and the same with her. And it never kind of reopened. It kind of just stayed that way. So we just kind of was our foundation. Once we got to that point of we not want to talk no more, we couldn't. It just like scattered conversations, and then there's miscommunication at that point. So then everything else falls short. So if the only best advice I can say is just always be transparent and communicate, no matter how hard it may be, no matter how difficult the conversation may be, it got to be had. Yeah, that's it.
I was gonna say the same thing, communication. And I was younger at the time, but when I was married, I remember me and my husband being upset and like not talking to each other for days, living in the same house, but just walking past each other. And it's like, that's absolutely ridiculous.
Yes.
You know, I feel like so much can happen once you're able to get through difficult conversations. Yeah. And sometimes, you know, people might be afraid of the other person's response or their emotions, but it's okay for them to have an emotional response.
Yeah.
But I think it's also important for people to create a safe space for communication.
Right.
My day job is a therapist, and I actually had my first couples counseling session this week. It was really fun. But a lot of times I'll encounter women who have issues with their boyfriends, and they'll just like be yelling at them, going off on them, cussing at them. But it's just like it's not a space for the communication to happen. It's not making him feel comfortable telling you anything.
It's hostile.
So yeah, it's very hostile.
Yeah.
So I think communication is very important, and transparency is very important as well, as you said. So yeah. Well, thank you guys. This has been very enlightening conversation on relationships, and I appreciate it. So thank you.
Us.
Yes.
Thank you all for tuning in to Psych 101.